Okay. I'm just gonna be finishing up the skeleton to start with, and then I'll probably might work on some code to um, implement just like switching the back sprite if it's a summon that's summoned by the party. If I get to it, depending how long this takes. Um, yeah, well, stream title can stay the same. Okay, sure. All right, yeah, so I'll just finish up shading the rest of this. I should be able to finish it today. I don't know if it's going to take all stream or not, but let's see. So we got the arms. I think I want to add some more shadow. Like this arm is looking very thick in the animation, which might just be reduced because I want to add a bit of shadow underneath the shoulder blade, but I think it'll make more sense to do that once I have the other arm done too. And then I kind of divided it here for some reason. But the break where the arm is actually up here in the front sprite. So, I mean, this is, I was definitely fudging it a bit. Like, this is all curved. It was just to give a certain impression. I could lower it a bit. And then from the back, I guess, like, the elbow would be about here from the back. So we can kind of go based on that. And then the hips isn't that big of an area because we have the loincloth. I might cover up the back with like more strips of fabric too. The legs might take a little longer. Well, honestly, the toes might stay the same because I don't know. It's hard to give the impression of different individual toes without doing like wait. Oh, okay. Like you start with a base like this, where you're like, okay, I want these four toes to be distinct and look like toes, and then you have four lines. But then you try to shade them with this small number of pixels, and I end up with like more or less a grid where like you have more light on this side somewhat and more shading towards like the crease where the foot is, but like that's about as good as I can do with the toes. And I think even like frame to frame, I just, well, except where the shape changes here, I've got pretty much the same thing. So I could probably keep that intact. Probably just keep it the same. But then from the back, the leg is going to want to overlap the foot and then it like sticks out. So maybe the junction where the leg meets the foot is going to change, and I probably want to shade it more here to show that we're seeing it from the back. But the toes themselves probably can stay the same. We'll just start with that. And that's the same on every frame except for two, actually. Okay, and then we'll do that for the other foot. What does it look like on the other foot? Oh, except for this frame where I bring it up, it's like pretty much the same. Yeah, the way we're going to be seeing it is different from the back, so I guess everything up to where the foot really like overlaps can stay. Oops. And that can sort of work as a bit of a guide. am I not copying? Okay. Okay, frame 5 is a bit different. What am I doing here? Okay, that saves us a little bit of work. Not a lot, but... We don't want to be able to see... So from the back, the thumb will, like, curl around from here a bit, but... let's see. Yeah, we can do the hand. If I'm looking at the back of my own hand. Actually, you'd probably see the... Oh. Or maybe not. Maybe just a little bit of green would come down where you would see it being held, and then the thumb should come from like a triangle sort of area, and then you got the fingers wrapping around. See if that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, I think. Let's see, that's a darker shade. It's probably what we want. Maybe we even need to see it a little more, or... Yeah. No, that makes more sense. Okay, so we'll get the shape of the thumb. Okay, the only one where it's really being held upright is like there. That makes sense. Okay. Okay, so the part of the... What is it? It's not the hilt. You just call it the handle. sword part. Let me Google that. The grip is there's a couple pixels where it's poking out. Now that makes sense, and we can just build the thumb around that. Okay. Okay. And now that we have that area subdivided, we'll just check if it makes sense animated. And just from the preview window, it looks pretty good to me, but check that out. Yeah, not bad. Okay. The hand ends about here. So maybe we just color in I guess seeing it from the back your hand, like you'd see what you want to separate as the wrist farther down a bit, but that's probably a good guideline. I don't think I would want to go yeah, no, maybe one more pixel up. So that's fine. This is going to end up the same. So I didn't divide the arm where I wanted to, but I'm just going to make that darker yellow the entire arm. Okay, this wrist is rotating down a bit. So I'm wondering if these pixels seem a little too static, although that could just come out in shading. That maybe does look a little better, though. Okay. We'll find out where the crease of the arm is, but actually I want an elbow right here, so right about there. Go for a darker color. Because just like over here, we're going to get the elbow as sort of a cap we can see. I think maybe this is hiding behind the hip a little bit on this frame. Wondering if maybe I should move it down a bit. Because, yeah, it's coming back. It's being held behind the hip. Right, like you can see it's back here. Well, I don't know if it should be, though. Maybe it just overlaps it a little for a frame. See how it looks. Okay. All right. That's pretty decent. Suppose we should maybe check where the knees are, but to be seen from the back. Still, though. I mean, that's where I would say it is on the front, but this whole area is something that I want to be able to see from the back. So, yeah, let's leave that for now. First of all, let's get some shading under here. Okay, that's not bad. Let's kind of roughly copy the pattern that we had here. And then we can make some tweaks after that. All right. shadow under the shoulder blade is probably fine. Put some shading back here. Let's check out how that upper arm looks animated. Yeah, I mean, not bad. It's not perfect, but yeah, it's all right. I think some stuff that I do want to change is just going to be like last minute pixel level tweaks. All right, so how do we proceed from here? The area around where the leg comes out should be darkened. I guess we'll just add that line now. kind of bringing up the size of the leg here. I'm not wild about the shape of this. Okay, that needs to shrink. Okay, I'm really messing with it now. It's a little better. Just putting a shadow over. Like if the arm is going to cover it up, we want a bit of shade to like delineate the line, the arm from the hip. From the front, they're quite bright, but I think I want to do a bit of the opposite here. Okay. Did I mess up? Why is that color randomly there? Maybe I need to reload my palette. I must have changed it. Okay. It looks a little square. This one looks good. That's looking okay. Yeah. I mean, not terrible. Just got to figure out how I want to translate like every part of that. I feel like there's still something about it that doesn't quite look right, but maybe it's because I just don't have any of the context of having the leg actually coming out from it. Hmm. Okay. This frame shouldn't be too different. Hmm. Looks a bit weird. I might just have to see what I can do about that. I might just have to see how it fits with everything else going on. It never looks great when I do like a hard junction like that and then have just a solid block of color, really, but okay, so we'll have the leg. The knee won't be visible. But I might just need to change the shading on this if I did it. Yeah, no, that doesn't really look right. Probably better to do it from scratch. Okay, so I'm going to define an area here where the back of the leg comes down and you get like the heel, but anything, any part of the foot past that would be in front, and then you would have it like more shaded, at least when it's close to that. kind of roughly defined, but okay. From the front, this foot is very brightly lit, but yeah, that's about roughly right. Gonna get a charger. All right. Hmm. That same sort of junction on the right knee is pretty consistent, I would say. It's looking reasonable. Let's finish up the arm. I'll put a shadow under the wrist. But I'll lighten up the top few pixels because sunlight would be hitting it. Well, not sunlight in the dungeon, but light would be hitting it from the top based on what I'm envisioning. Put a brighter upper arm. Then we can go down by a shade close to the bottom edge of it. I feel like I gotta have some white highlights in there a little bit, just to break up the color. And then, I don't know, maybe like really close to the wrist, these few darker pixels. It's a bit messy. Why does everything I'm doing today feel a bit messy? Am I off a bit? Okay, so we might be able to see, we wouldn't really be able to see fingers, but like knuckles from the front, kind of. So maybe marking them with a highlight would be just put 3 so it doesn't get like too crazy, but having like that level of, well, I guess it's not 3 separate ones here, but being able to see a bit of brighter white along the edges will make it pop a bit. Yeah, it's all right. I feel like we need to make more of the dark yellow around here for sure. Just because close to the where you're gripping the sword probably should be a bit darker. And then maybe just a couple of pixels really close to the wrist as well. We'll say the thumb is sort of over it, and then let's see. Want it to be really, really dark around where the hand is gripping it, but then maybe brighten up the thumb to emphasize that it is the thumb. No, that's too much. I think maybe this blocky thumb is not really working in my favor. All right, let's see. Um, I mean, it's workable. It feels a little flat. Maybe underneath the thumb, yeah. Just a little bit of more shading. Just a little bit. It feels like it makes it more makes it look more hand-like. Yeah, I mean I think that's a decent compromise. Okay. So then let's figure out what we want to do with the legs. I mean, probably just like 2 cylinders, really, and then, well, bit of shading underneath here where there's the inner side of the knee. Not gonna straight up divide it in half. Well, no, I went overboard. I will divide it in half. I mean that by itself looks fine. And then just put more shading around here. And that looks fine. Okay. I'll color that in for now, but I think we'll end up putting more shade underneath where because the elbow's covering it up here. Okay. 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 Yeah, that's pretty good. I feel like this area, this color, is just not really blending nicely. I think it's because right here it looks like a border of the leg. So I think we need to soften that up just a bit. Or just bring it around more. Because I wanted it to look like the sort of socket that the leg is in, but I think it was looking like the border of the leg itself. That's looking better. I feel like we should have like the ball of the foot tracked. And then we can kind of shade from that. Okay. Okay. This should maybe be enough. Lighten that up a bit. See how that looks. Still looks like too straight of a line, I think, so let's see, what do we want to do? Hey Dysons. Just finishing up my skeleton. Working on it. Yeah, I worked on it a bit off stream. And I started a little bit ago. Today, I was working on fixing bugs, like in my own time. I had, and I'm happy to say a lot of the ones that I really needed to get rid of are gone. So wait, let me see if my game is running right now. Okay, yeah. Right, so this is what I fixed. I was having an issue where sometimes I'd be walking around and I'd get into a random battle and the game would crash. And I was trying to figure out why that was, because also when I was in a battle, I might have like 2 battles trigger at once. So I could see that sometimes when I'd be in a battle and then some of the UI would like initiate twice. And I thought at first that it was because okay, so I fixed if I'm walking, I press move once here, right? That if I think if I was still holding the button when I finished moving one cell, if I was continually moving like this, that it would, even if it switched to another scene, the move function had already been called and it wasn't waiting for the previous one to be done. So at the end of the move function, it rolls for an encounter. So I could be in an encounter and then the move function would still be executing and roll for an encounter. So I could sometimes get 2. And I thought what was happening was that one of the groups of enemies that's initialized in the encounter was empty. Like one would be full and one would be empty, but it was actually 2 different bugs. So that was a bug I fixed so that the movement just waits for the next one. And so now I can only trigger one encounter at the same time. But there was still a random chance that the group of enemies could be empty. So it wasn't just the fact that it was doing 2 at a time. It was doing 2 at a time, and they each had a random chance that it was trying to initialize with no enemy group, and then it would crash. So I found the reason for that, which is okay, player camera is the code for just the player controller, essentially, because we're just a camera. You don't see your player model. And then you were rolling here and initializing a battle scene. And it was, this is what I had to add, just like a different function. But basically you were initializing it with a particular enemy group that you were getting from the encounter table. What it actually turned out to be, and I didn't realize this, okay, there's a node here that stores enemy groups. I'm going to rework this to be more modular, but basically there's a box here that stores the enemies. And then if you have 1, it could be here, 2 or 3. And then these might just be initialized with nothing, because even when this node is ready, this might not be. So like by the time the ready function is finished, all of its child nodes should be there. But I guess it was like not. If I was trying to reference this node in the ready function, and it would just half the time was there, half the time wasn't ready, and then if I did that, it would crash. And there was a bunch of UI bugs that I just fixed now that I've refactored a bunch of stuff, and it's much better now. So that's what I was working on. I'm finishing the skeleton, and luckily a lot of the things that I broke from, there was a long time ago, like UI stuff where I was working on the game and it was just crashing because, or even just not working properly, because I had a lot of time working on UI where I would work on it in bits and pieces and then forget what I did, and I don't know, work on it sleepy or whatever, and then distract myself with doing art instead and not fixing the UI. And now the major issues are fixed. It's going to be playable. And I'm getting pretty close to being able to just like add content for the sake of it and play it and test it out, because I was leaving that broken for a while. All right. Oh, thank you. trying to figure out how to make everything look right from the back. Like right now, I should be able to see like the full back of the leg, and then the toes should be like pointed forward. Although I could have changed the shape of them. But I think just with like a lot of shading, I can make it appear that I've changed the shape of it more than I did. Okay. I think I could just do both sections of this leg at once. They're just kind of like two cylinders. That's pretty good, I guess. I'm gonna just trace the line around this hip so I get a real good separation. Because I'm going to want to add some shadow behind it as well. I might want to go down to... Even then, I might make it darker. Because I think I want to go down to at least here. Just the shadow that the hip casts on the leg. Hmm. Okay, that raised knee is way too bright. I think I want to soften this up a bit. Adding a few scraps right there would probably make some sense. Uh, and we give it like highlights at the end of the strips to like make them pop a little bit like three-dimensional. Like it'll be apparent that this is a thing hanging down. Yeah, it looks better with those few scraps. Like between them, we probably want to go darker. And underneath them. Okay. Might as well just give this some highlight now. Let's put a little bit here. The shape of it is a bit weird, but let me try to pinpoint why. Okay, we've got this coming up a bit between these two frames. So honestly, maybe just that looks better. I think this frame looks a little odd because right where it comes up to the rib cage here, it's a little hard to discern. So maybe something like that. I mean, that's an improvement. Okay. Still have a little bit to do on this leg. All right, we want to do the same thing here, sort of where we rough up the shape of it a bit. I guess. Maybe not so dramatically. That's probably enough. Mm. Maybe we'll put a little highlight up here. Actually, no, that doesn't make sense. That would make sense more if it was like a kneecap, but I want this to look rounded like a cylinder, and then you don't see the kneecap. So maybe the actual heel could get one, but Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm basically done. I just kind of did a bunch of parts all in a row. I mean, there's definitely areas that can be improved. So tweaking would be this shadow is just a straight line in every frame, pretty much. So just to rough up the shape a little bit, we could do that. And then it kind of matches the one on the other side more. And I get a question, is there anything that really just doesn't look right? I think maybe we could do it with a bit of shading on this side of the skull. It doesn't look quite right to have this be just like a sharp right corner either. Oh, well, it's not in every frame, actually. So yeah, that's another reason it wouldn't look right. Maybe just a little bit here. Okay. It looks like there's a lot of like shifting going around with this pixel. It's a little better. The shadows are very shifty too. I think it's looking pretty good. These already take kind of long enough, so like instead of like I do tweaks whenever I really pick out things that are like that really doesn't look right, and I see a lot of like shifting pixels, but like none of this is perfect, right? So like at this point I tend to just save it, and then if I really want to go back and do like really fine-tuning tweaks later, then I might reopen the file. But for now, just like loading it into the game engine and putting the code around it that'll make it work. So I'll save this. I haven't exported a sprite sheet in a while. To my game engine, so I can't remember exactly what format I've been doing. Actually, I'm not sure if that was right. Let's see. That would be in Minions. Okay. I guess I already had the file saved, or like the location at least. So it's right here, and then the skeleton minion is here. And I'm not sure I remember why we have this, but we have we don't have an animated sprite 2D with it. Unless it's loaded by the minion script. No. Minion spot. Play flea animation. Okay. The animated sprite might be in minion spot scene, and then it might just load the proper one. Okay. Load sprite is animated sprite 3D, and then you just load it based on the name. Okay. And then the party member minion spot had a different one, and it extends minion spot. But what I can do instead is just load a different, probably refactor that for this to make more sense. But if I just keep consistent, oh, you know what? I need to make a duplicate of this, but with back in the file name. And then as long as I keep that consistent where I'm just loading it by name and it just has back in the name, then I should be able to do that. I'm not sure if that'll break if I have minions that don't have the back sprite yet, but we'll figure it out. Okay. So for this one, I will delete the frames. Yeah. Minions. And skeleton back. There's only one vertical frame and 5 horizontal. And then we go that way. I don't know if it had, it has looping by default, but I don't know if it has its own ping pong animation just by default. So I think I just ended up duplicating all of them. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This gets duplicated, then we duplicate that. Or I guess we don't duplicate the last one. And then it loops. So just the in-between frames. That might be all we need. I think what I'll do is I already had it hard coded in that everybody summons a bunch of snakes, so I'll just change it to skeletons. We'll make the enemies do the same so we can see the difference. All right, I'll get into a battle. I'll see if that automatically reloads or not. Okay, so I put the skeletons in for the enemies, but it didn't work for the party. So let me just double check this. I definitely couldn't find that file name. Or maybe I need to double check whether in the battle scene, if it's actually using the... It would have had to be. I made a separate party minion spot class, and I just need to double check that it's actually using that. All right, so I can't remember where they are set. Oh, this could have been like a really terrible decision, but I think the party stat windows themselves have like a 3D component of the minion display. No, they are using the party member minion spot. So, did I type this wrong? Okay. Skeleton minion back anim.tress. What's their name? I thought it would just be skeleton, but I guess it's going by the node name. For some reason, the name isn't showing up. All right. That's not what I wanted. Res minion assigned minion dot name. Let me just do a real lazy thing and make sure that this function is actually called. Yeah. Okay, it is. It's very strange. I'm not sure why the name is Skeleton Minion in the first place and not just Skeleton. But yeah, I guess it's node based. I gave them a name field. Oh, it's minion name. But I just take name, which is the name of the node. Okay. This is for like printing to messages and stuff. Might have to rework some of that. Um, you know what? I'll just let me idle here for a second, and I'm gonna reload the project and just see if that makes a difference, because it might not be seeing the file for whatever reason. Okay. Hmm. Ah, there we go. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't find it. Let me just switch up what I'm doing here a little bit. Right. Back sprites. That's all it took. Just had to change the file path. So that looks a lot better. What I can go in and do, um, and this is like maxed out. Like this is the most number of minions that you can have, really. Um, and I meant to like stress test it to be well, not performance of it. Like it's not a big deal, um, but the um, UI. Like I need to know that you can have this much mechanically going on and still be able to tell what's going on. Not that you can really count them individually, but um, that might not be so important. But get a ballpark like eyeball of like whether you have a lot or not a lot. Um, so what I could do besides that is put down the back sprite to be a version of the front, but I could just color shift some elements of it. So like if you have the same type of summon as the enemy, that yours might be a slightly different color. The code works. I just need to put in back sprites for the other minions. I only have 3 made, so I have the snake, the sheep, the skeleton, and I have ideas for more. So that's what I need to do. And yeah, their minions are a pretty big mechanic. So I want them to look and feel right. And I want each one made. I might make a few enemy classes, but I want the minions to be all sorted away because when I implement moves, like when I'm implementing a new enemy type, they're mechanically a bag of different skills that are like unique to them. But some of those skills, I need to be able to implement skills before I implement the enemies. I can draw them, but like when I put them in, you know, if they fully functionally work, I can design levels around them. But then some of the abilities that I want to implement are minion summoning abilities. So all of the different mechanically unique ones that exist, they're like a game mechanic. They exist as a building block even more so than like regular enemies, because enemies and levels are what you're building. But all the status effects, buffs, minion types, those are mechanics that are the building blocks of those elements. I also think I'm looking at it. I don't know if I can push it any further than this, just based on how many I have. They look small, and I need to maybe adjust the view of that. Maybe the party ones can look bigger because they're supposed to be closer to you. I realize it looks a little weird that the skeletons are so much smaller than, the humanoid characters that you're actually fighting. But it is an abstraction, and I could justify it any way I want to. I could say they're little hobbit skeletons or whatever. But I think playing with the view of there's stuff, for example, this is all in 3D space, so the angles of how they're viewed, on this spot, there's 6 around each enemy spot. And they don't all look right. Like I wanted to, you have 6 and then you arrange them in a certain way, and then you have 4 different spots of that, but like depending on how you arrange them, they might overlap a bit unless you wanted to tweak them all individually. So this is like a 4 different of the same pattern of 6, and this is the enemy pattern is different, but there's 3 of them that are all laid out in the same way. You see how this one to the left is like a little more to the front than the other 2, and this one in the middle back row needs to be behind the enemy. And it's not easy to see that this one, and for certain enemy types, depending on how they're animated, it might not be easy to see that they have 6. So I could do, I like having them surrounded, but I could do where they're all in front of the enemy. Because I think this looks really good. You can see all the heads. This is the only reason you can't see this, because there's no space where you can see through this at all. It's just a like default sprite for an enemy I haven't implemented yet. But then this guy's pretty big and he's blocking the guy back there. So it might be relevant if you want to read whether an enemy has 5 or whether they have 6. I think some sort of menu. Actually, what would maybe be a good idea when you're selecting the attack? I just have like a basic arrow here right now. But when you hover over them, if it hovers and you get like a box with their name, maybe, and also like the number of minions they have, would be pretty good. And then I mean, I could bring them all out front. I do kind of like them being surrounded a bit. Maybe tweak the positions a little bit. I think making the ones in the party slightly bigger makes sense as well. Yeah. Let's see what I can get away with, actually. Um, oh, wait. The minion spot is... Oh, okay. The actual sizing of them that's like distinct from the one that the enemy uses is going to be in the window. I don't know why I put it here, honestly. Look at scale. Let's do 1.3. Which one did I increase? Probably that one, right? 1.3 is pretty good. I might need to space them out more. Okay, now how do 24 of them look here? That is better. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. They look more appropriate for the size compared to like the enemy ones on the opposite side. I do want enough of a line here that it looks like a separation between them without having to push these ones back. I think having the back sprite makes it so much clearer. Like if these top row were all like facing towards you, it would not be as clear. But with the back sprite, with the separation a little bit, if the separation was much smaller than this, I would have to push these guys back. But I'm kind of liking how they fit the screen. I think I do want the color change. So like each minion will have 2 different color variations, one for the party and one for the enemies. And like there were things that I thought I wanted to tweak about the... Well, okay, this I do want to tweak. Do you see on the back of their skull, there's a little pixel that just pops up? I'm going to get rid of that. And then But yeah, these little like pixel details that I said like I could tweak. There's so much going on the screen that like you wouldn't really notice. You kind of wouldn't notice. Yeah. Okay. I'm not really sure what to do next right now. I'm a little bit tired, and no one's really here, unless Tyson's is still here. But kind of considering just ending stream a little bit early. I'm gonna try to think of something to do next. What's still left to do? Oh, switch scenes. Oh, I just attacked. Just into my own turn. Oh, I still wanted to work on the battle clock. Do I want to do that now? Let's see. I did put in, I don't think I showed this ever, but the switch menu now. I mean, I didn't make them fancy yet, but I have a placeholder sprite that will like block off the ones that aren't usable, right? Let's just take a look at the battle scene and remind ourselves how the battle clock is set up. Okay. So it's got all these positions. Oh, wait, I'm not showing it. It's basically got a bunch of different anchors, and I just had the arrow move to the correct one. But what I will have is like a clock hand that rotates. Not sure for rotation. I don't rotate very much in my UI, but if I did, what's the anchor? Let me take a look. Okay, the corner. Or, well, wait, it's this right here. Okay. So we would just have to set that in the middle of the little arrow. Set the rotation to be whatever fraction that we're rotating to, and then I would probably tween it so it actually looks like it moves instead of just snapping. Can't remember if I... No, I don't have the round one in my assets yet. I think I'd code it up right now and not finish drawing it yet, but okay. So I guess I must not have exported it at all. Okay, we'll load that up. I mean, we still have the problem of like when these menus pop out and cover it, like what do I want to do about it? But I mean, if I want to move it up, that whole thing can be on a its own node that moves up, but like the arrow will be relative to the circle, so like it makes more sense to just code that part up now. Okay, we could do another layer. I'm literally going to do this so fast, I'm just going to like make a super lazy one to start with. Okay. Let's just make that smaller, and then I'll change the canvas size and export it, and that'll just be what we're working with. Okay, let's hide that for now. The battle clock, where were we? We'll just give that like a child node. That's a text direct. Okay, where is that? Okay, perfect. Now, how do I change the pivot? I don't know if I can just do that of a texture rect. I may need to put that as a child of a node and then have it be relative to that. That might make sense, actually. or like put that there and then just make the image relative to that. And then when this rotates, yeah, there we go. That's what I want. Okay. So let's see. Okay, so the rotation, it'd be negative 90 to positive 90. Let me just do some quick math, because if the time is 0, then the rotation is 0. But then 90 is divided into 8 parts, so 11 point 25. Just gonna quick test that out where it just snaps, and then I'll animate it. Just hide chat because no one's really here right now for a second. But yeah, it appears to not work. No, because it doesn't align with what we have here. Okay, if I use cure, and that should cost 2 time. Also, I have it reversed, which is not what I wanted, but oh yeah, no, I mean that should not go off the edge. So let's see what I did wrong. Hmm. Hmm. It's probably something to do with like rotation being in degrees or radians or something. Okay. Yeah, Godot uses radians. You want to change the rotation by code, you need to use degrees to radians. Okay. Perfect. That's 0 and 0. That's probably correct, but I don't know that it updated because it was already 0. All right, so 2. Okay, and then we go over to the enemy side. Oh, it is on the enemy side. That's good. I don't know if I wanted left to be the enemy side or right. But that's working properly, so that's good. And then I just have to make it fancy. We just do a couple quick tests more. As long as this arrow aligns with what's going on here, then we should be golden. Which one of these skills cost the most? Did I actually? Okay, cure all. I shouldn't be able to cast it on dead party members either. That's a bug. No, it appears to work. I don't have these divided up into actually 8 pieces. Some of the later ones are bigger. And that's just something I have to make look nicer. I also am probably going to put a display here that just tells you the number. That would be a lot better. Any of these tabs get in the way. They overlap a little bit, but they don't really get in the way. I drew this line here just arbitrarily, but I think it would make sense as if it was part of this panel and then move that line a little over if I wanted to move it over a little bit. Now the problem is I still need to solve this, right? Oh, it's not even sorted properly. But yeah, you would, if it was in front, you wouldn't be able to see that. But for now, let's make sure that the ordering is correct. Okay, now the menu actually shows up in front. Just make sure all the menus show up in front. Yeah, they do. You can see a little bit behind the skills menu. So it might end up being a little wider. But ideally, what I would do is possibly have the arrow, maybe even 2 arrows. Like the one that shows where the time is at and the one that shows where the time would be if you choose the move that you're going to choose. It's not the worst thing in the world if like you have to go into the skills menu and then you see it's for time and then you use it and then you come back and it's, you know. Also, if this has like a back panel where you're selecting your party members, then it would have to be visible there. I could just have like an alternate version that like shows up in the corner while you're selecting things, but all right, so we'll take this away because we're not using these anchors anymore. We're just using the rotation. This right here with the anchors is not being used at all anymore. Because that's not how I'm going to do it. And then I have to find out. Just need to find somewhere where I use the tween. Luckily, that actually cleans up this area too, because it just had all these nodes that I didn't actually need. Okay. So the property is on this node. Rotation. And that's not a vector 2, it's just and then I need to know how many seconds it takes. Perfect. Okay. Was that correct? Well, I don't have numbers on it, but I think it should end up here once I do it. Oh no, wait. Okay, no, that's right. I miscounted. It costs 2. This is looking pretty good. I like it. The sprites need to be better, but yeah, I mean, items I think cost 1 to use. Yeah. Okay. Uh yeah, no, I mean that's good. I mean I did the back sprite, finished the back sprite, and then fixed the code to make it display, and then put in this little prototype for a battle clock. I think that's good. For a day's work. Well, I got one more thing actually. I do have one more thing. Do I have time? Yeah. Let's make this its own scene. So I can actually show it. We'll just put in a temporary color rectangle. This is like super temporary, but like I'll have to make a graphic for that. Right. Might need a different font, but then what I want to do in update view is just change the text. And then that should update. Let me just switch over my views here. Okay. Nope. Game just crashed. Invalid assignment of property or key text with value of type int. Oh. Right. For some reason, I thought if it was not like a concatenation and it was just the number, it would know what to do, but nope. I think that's just for print. Yeah. Okay. Just get into our first battle, and then I'm gonna call it a day. Okay, we got our number. It's pretty ugly, but okay, yeah, there we go. The update. I mean, I didn't even have the number on the meter, so that's a lot more readable. It shouldn't display over this menu, but I'll fix that. The arrow didn't slide over, it just snapped over. I don't know why. But anyway, I mean, that's a lot of progress. I'm going to end the stream. I don't know. Hopefully some people who want to can catch it on the VOD. And see you next stream.